ಎಲ್ರಿಗೂ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮದಲ್ಲಿ ನೆರೆದಿರುವಂತಹ ಎಲ್ಲ ಶರಣರಿಗೆ ಶರಣು ಶರಣಾರ್ಥಿ. ಲೋಕದ ಡೊಂಕ ನೀವೇಕೆ ತಿದ್ದುವಿರಿ, ನಿಮ್ಮ ತನುವ ಸಂತೈಸಿಕೊಳ್ಳಿ, ನಿಮ್ಮ ಮನವ ಸಂತೈಸಿಕೊಳ್ಳಿ, ನೆರೆಮನೆಯ ದುಃಖಕ್ಕೆ ಅಳುವವರ ಮೆಚ್ಚ ನಮ್ಮ ಕೂಡಲ ಸಂಗಮ ದೇವ ಎನ್ನುವಂತಹ ಬಸವಣ್ಣನವರ ವಚನದ ಹಾಗೆ ಸಮಾಜದ ಆರೋಗ್ಯವನ್ನು ಕಾಪಾಡ್ತಾ ಹಗಲಿರುಳು ಎನ್ನದೆ ಶ್ರಮಿಸ್ತಾ ಇರುವಂತಹ, ರೋಗಿಗಳ ಜೀವವನ್ನು ಉಳಿಸಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋರಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರುವಂತಹ ಇಡೀ ವೈದ್ಯ ಸಮುದಾಯಕ್ಕೆ ILYFನ ಹೃದಯ ಸ್ಪರ್ಶಿ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. ಒಂದು ಚಪ್ಪಾಳೆ ತಮಗೆ ತಾವೇ ಈ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮದಲ್ಲಿ ನೆರೆದಿರುವಂತಹ ಎಲ್ಲ ವೈದ್ಯರಿಗೆ ಸಲ್ಲಿಸೋಣ. Good morning everyone. Welcome to the International Lingayat Youth Forum Shivamogga Chapter DoctorPreneur Summit 2025. And myself Nandini, I am thrilled to be the host for today's event. Respected dignitaries, esteemed doctors, entrepreneurs, young leaders, and beloved members of ILYF Karnataka, a very warm welcome to each one of you. Today we gather here under the noble spirit of Kayaka and Dasoha to celebrate the journey of doctorpreneurs, healers who not only serve with compassion but also innovate with courage. ILYF Shivamogga Chapter is excited to bring together young minds, innovators, and leaders to shape the future of healthcare and entrepreneurship. Dear esteemed speakers and participants, ILYF welcomes you all to Shivamogga, ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದ ನಿಸರ್ಗ ಭರಿತ ಮಲೆನಾಡಿನ ಒಂದು ಭಾಗ, ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದ ಭತ್ತದ ಕಣಜ, ಸಹ್ಯಾದ್ರಿಯ ಪರ್ವತ ಶ್ರೇಣಿ, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಉಗಮಗೊಳ್ತಾ ಇರುವಂತಹ ತುಂಗಭದ್ರಾ, ಶರಾವತಿ, ಕುಮುದ್ವತಿ ಮತ್ತು ವರದಾ ನದಿಗಳ ಸಂಗಮ, ಕದಂಬರು, ಗಂಗರು, ಚಾಲುಕ್ಯರು, ರಾಷ್ಟ್ರಕೂಟರು, ಹೊಯ್ಸಳರು, ವಿಜಯನಗರದ ಅರಸರು ಆಳಿದಂಥ ನಾಡು. ಶಿವಮೊಗ್ಗ ಅತ್ಯುತ್ತಮ ವಿದ್ಯಾ ಕೇಂದ್ರ, ಕೇವಲ ಪ್ರವಾಸಿ ತಾಣ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದ ಸಾಂಸ್ಕೃತಿಕ ರಾಜಧಾನಿ ಶಿವಮೊಗ್ಗ. 20ನೇ ಶತಮಾನ ಕಂಡಂಥ ದೈತ್ಯ ಪ್ರತಿಭೆ ವರಕವಿ ಬೇಂದ್ರೆಯವರಿಂದ ಯುಗದ ಕವಿ, ಜಗದ ಕವಿ ಎನಿಸಿಕೊಂಡಂತಹ ಕುವೆಂಪುರವರು ಜ್ಞಾನಪೀಠ ಪ್ರಶಸ್ತಿ ಪುರಸ್ಕೃತರ ನಾಡು, ತವರೂರು ಶಿವಮೊಗ್ಗ. ಸದ್ದಿರದ ಪಸಿರಡೆಯ ಮಲೆನಾಡ ಬನಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಮೊರೆವ ತೊರೆ ಎಡೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಗುಡಿಸಲೊಂದಿರಲಿ, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಗಿಳಿಗೊರವಂಕ ಕೋಗಿಲೆಗಳೆಂಚೆರವು ಕಲೆಯು ತಲೆಯಾಗಿ ತೇಲಿ ಬರುತ್ತಿರಲಿ, ಅದು ನಮ್ಮ ಶಿವಮೊಗ್ಗ. ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದ ಚರಿತ್ರೆಯಲ್ಲಿ 12ನೇ ಶತಮಾನ ಶಿವಶರಣರು ಕೈಗೊಂಡಂತಹ ಸಮಾಜೋದ್ಧಾರಕ ಕ್ರಾಂತಿ ಒಂದು ವಿಶಿಷ್ಟವಾದಂತಹ ಕ್ರಾಂತಿ. ಸಾಹಿತ್ಯ ಕೇವಲ ಪಂಡಿತರ ಗುತ್ತಿಗೆಯಾಗಿ ರಾಜಾಶ್ರಯದ ಪಂಜರದಲ್ಲಿದ್ದಾಗ ಜನಸಾಮಾನ್ಯರ ಸ್ಥಳಕ್ಕೆ ಅದನ್ನು ವಚನದ ಮುಖಾಂತರ ತಂದು ಕ್ರಾಂತಿಯನ್ನು ಮೂಡಿಸಿದವರು ಬಸವಾದಿ ಶರಣರು. ಇದೇ ಅಲ್ಲಮಪ್ರಭು, ಕನ್ನಡದ ಪ್ರಥಮ ಅಕ್ಕ ಮಹಾದೇವಿ ಕವಯತ್ರಿ. ಹಾಗೆಯೇ ಈ ನಾಡು ನಮ್ಮ ಶಿವಮೊಗ್ಗ ಹೆಮ್ಮೆಯ ವಚನಗಾರರು ಜನಿಸಿರುವಂತಹ ಸ್ಥಳ. ಇಂತಹ ಹೆಮ್ಮೆಯ ಸ್ಥಳ ನಮ್ಮ ಶಿವಮೊಗ್ಗಕ್ಕೆ ತಮ್ಮೆಲ್ಲರನ್ನ ಆತ್ಮೀಯವಾಗಿ ಮತ್ತೊಮ್ಮೆ ILYF ಶಿವಮೊಗ್ಗ ಪರವಾಗಿ ಆತ್ಮೀಯವಾಗಿ ಸ್ವಾಗತಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೇನೆ. ನಮ್ಮ ಈ ಒಂದು ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮವನ್ನು ಪ್ರಾರ್ಥನೆಯ ಮುಖಾಂತರ, ವಚನ ಗಾಯನದ ಮುಖಾಂತರ ಈಗ ಪ್ರಾರಂಭಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೇವೆ. ಸೊ ಹಿಯರ್ ಇಸ್ ಅ ರಿಕ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ ಟು ಆಲ್ ಆಫ್ ಯು, ಪ್ಲೀಸ್ ಅಸೆಂಬಲ್ ಇನ್ಸೈಡ್ ದ ಆಡಿಟೋರಿಯಂ, ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಯೋರ್ ಸೀಟ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ಸೈಡ್ ದ ಆಡಿಟೋರಿಯಂ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ದ ಈವೆಂಟ್ is beginning now. And I request ಶ್ರೀಮತಿ ನಿವೇದಿತಾ ವಿಕಾಸ್, co-founder of ಮಂತ್ರ ಈವೆಂಟ್ಸ್, ಇವರು ವಚನ ಗಾಯನದ ಮುಖಾಂತರ ಈ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮಕ್ಕೆ ಒಂದು ವಿದ್ಯುಕ್ತವಾಗಿ ಆ ಭಗವಂತನ ಪ್ರಾರ್ಥನೆಯನ್ನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗಿ ವಿನಂತಿಸ್ಕೊಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೇನೆ.
ಗುರುವಿಗೆ ತನುವನ್ನು, ಲಿಂಗಕ್ಕೆ ಮನವನ್ನು, ಗುರುವಿಗೆ ತನುವನ್ನು, ಲಿಂಗಕ್ಕೆ ಮನವನ್ನು, ಜಂಗಮಕ್ಕೆ ಧನವ ಕೊಟ್ಟು, ಜಂಗಮಕ್ಕೆ ಧನವ ಕೊಟ್ಟು, ನಿಶ್ಚಿಂತನಾಗಿರುವ ಭಕ್ತನೇ ಮಹಾದೇವನಯ್ಯ. ಗುರುವಿಗೆ ತನುವನ್ನು, ಲಿಂಗಕ್ಕೆ ಮನವನ್ನು, ಇವನಾಜ್ಞೆಯಂತೆ ನಡೆವ ಜನಗಳೇ ಮಹಾಗಣಗಳು, ಇವನಾಜ್ಞೆಯಂತೆ ನಡೆವ ಜನಗಳೇ ಮಹಾಗಣಗಳು, ಇವನ ಸಂಸಾರ ಸುಖವೇ ಶಿವ ಸುಖ ನೋಡ, ಗುರುಕುಮಾರ ಪಂಚಾಕ್ಷರೇಶ್ವರ ಗುರುವಿಗೆ ತನುವನ್ನು ಲಿಂಗಕ್ಕೆ ಮನವನ್ನು ಗುರುವಿಗೆ ತನುವನ್ನು ಲಿಂಗಕ್ಕೆ ಮನವನ್ನು ಜಂಗಮಕ್ಕೆ ಧನವ ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಜಂಗಮಕ್ಕೆ ಧನವ ಕೊಟ್ಟು ನಿಶ್ಚಿಂತನಾಗಿರುವ ಭಕ್ತನೇ ಮಹಾದೇವನಯ್ಯ ಅಯ್ಯ ಗುರುವಿಗೆ ತನುವನ್ನು ಗುರುವಿಗೆ ತನುವನ್ನು ಗುರುವಿಗೆ ತನುವನ್ನು ಲಿಂಗಕ್ಕೆ ಮನವನ್ನು. ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು.
Thank you, Srimati Nivedita Avrige. Dear friends, before we begin today's first session, let me speak about ILYF. Founded in 2013, ILYF is a progressive platform committed to forecasting leadership, entrepreneurship, and economic empowerment within the Veerashaiva Lingayat community. Through this flagship networking forum, INET, and various sector-specific initiatives, ILYF continues to support professionals and business leaders in achieving greater impact. With core values rooted in Basava's philosophy of Kayakave Kailasa, that's work is worship, ILYF remains committed to upholding community harmony, progress, and shared prosperity. Its vision is to nurture a network of professionals, doctorpreneurs, business leaders, and innovators making meaningful contribution and community wealth creation, ethical leadership, and generational impact. Dear friends, ಅರಿವು ಮೂಡಿದಡೆ ಶರಣ ಮರೆವು ಆವರಿಸಿದಡೆ ಮಾನವ ಎಂದು ಹೇಳಿ ಅರಿವಿನ ಮಹತ್ವವನ್ನು ಸಾರಿದವರು ಶಿವಶರಣರು. ಬಸವಾದಿ ಶಿವಶರಣರ ಪಾದಂಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಪೊಡಮಡುತ್ತಾ today's event will feature inspiring talks, panel discussions, and networking opportunities. We will explore the intersection of healthcare, entrepreneurship, and innovation and discuss ways to drive positive change. So let us get started with our event DoctorPreneur Summit 2025 and make it a memorable one. So for the first talk, let me invite Shri Sharath Hirenalluru. ದಯಮಾಡಿ ಶ್ರೀ ಶರತ್ ಹಿರೇನಲ್ಲೂರು ಅವರು ವೇದಿಕೆಗೆ ಆಗಮಿಸಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಕೇಳ್ಕೊಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೇನೆ. ಜೋರಾದ ಚಪ್ಪಾಳೆಯ ಮುಖಾಂತರ ನಾವು ಇವತ್ತಿನ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮದ Let me introduce Shri Sharath Hirenalluru, Director, Actvira Consultants, Governance and Compliance Expert. Shri Sharath Hirenalluru brings deep expertise in corporate governance, compliance, and strategic advisory. As a Director of Actvira Consultants, he has guided numerous organizations in building strong governance structures, ensuring regulatory compliance, and raising capital effectively. With his extensive knowledge of company law and corporate structures, Sharath has been instrumental in helping business scale with transparency and accountability. With big round of applause, let us invite Shri Sharath Hirenalluru to talk on company structure and compliance for doctors. Over to you, sir.
Sharnu Sharanarthi, distinguished dignitaries, as well as my dear doctors and ILYF members. With great reverence, I bow down to the philosophies of Lord Basavanna, whose principles are most relevant for doctors as well as entrepreneurs today. And I would like to let you all know that through this session, we'll be confining majorly into the basics of entrepreneurship. So with basics, I would mean we would be stripping down mostly into the essential aspects of entrepreneurship as to, we'll try answer the real world questions as to how do I start, what should I do and what should I not be doing more. So any entrepreneurship journey or a successful business enterprise today would have started by that one person who would have taken that very first step. So that's the space we'll dive in together and try to understand how corporate governance can be your framework which would help you scale up your organization. It's not just the boxes to tick in, but it's one of the powerful tool every entrepreneur should know. So let's start about the doctorpreneur mindset. So by mindset, I would mean yeah. So with the mindset, I would mean, as the doctors, I'm sure you would have all been focusing more on your patients. So as doctors, you make life-saving decisions on the daily basis. So you would be having that inbuilt leadership qualities in you all. As you have that credibility, you have that patience and endurance to be doctors. However, when you have to step into your entrepreneurship journey, you would, it would call for something more. Like say, for example, you would be here creating more of systems, you would be managing the resources, you would be doing much more into the governance aspects and scalability. So you would need a mindset shift. More than focusing on the patients here, you should have to focus on your strategies to build, your governance aspect to build, how do you build an institution. So probably you may have to require some of the traits which may probably not be taught in your med schools with regard to how do you take up the risk, how to be resilient in the business, how do you scale up the business. These are all is the certain traits which by doctors you will have to build when you want to stepping into a entrepreneurship journey. So how do you start an idea into the business? So that journey we'll look into now. Let's say you would have all come across certain problems in your life, that is while treating your patients or with regard to you would be coming across some pains in the societies where you will have to figure out certain solutions for that. So these solutions itself can be developed as an ideas for articulating or transforming that into a business model. So when have you identified these problems or the pain points and try to build solutions? Probably you would all be practicing now and you would have felt that there are some gaps which can be addressed. So that's the idea you build up. And once you build that idea or once you get an idea, it's important that you will have to validate it. So how do you validate the idea which you get is by talking to your peers. Is by talking to your peers or the patients or by doing a market research analysis, and all those aspects will validate your idea. So once the idea gets validated, how do you conceptualize? Conceptualize is nothing but breaking that down into a business model. So probably you can use certain BMC or lean canvas. BMC is for all those business enterprises which are already existing. It will have certain 9 modules in which you can build your business. It would tell you like how do you get in touch of your customers, how do you retain them, or how do you break down your revenue models. So those aspects would be covered in your conceptualization. So once you conceptualize your idea, you will have to build a proof of concept. Proof of concept is nothing but instead of going ahead with the full-fledged model, you build a prototype. Let's say, for example, all of you may have been using Dropbox, right? You've all used Dropbox, like wherein you save the data and file sharing. So Dropbox guys, when they initially came up with this concept of Dropbox, what they did was they built a beautiful video. So that video had that problems of what the people would face, how they have built a solution for that. So that video was launched by the founders and thousands of them signed up for it, which gave a validation for that concept. So that way, so Dropbox got a validation for their idea. Let's say, for example, I could give you other examples of an online shoe selling platform wherein it's called Zappos. So Zappos, when they initially came up with an idea to sell their shoes online, So what they did was, he built a platform, the online platform, and they clicked the pictures from an offline shoe store. So they posted it on their online platform. So when they posted it on the online platform, he started getting orders from there. So that way, what he did, he went to an offline store, bought it, and then shipped it to his customers. So he didn't spend too much of money for the validation purpose of spending a lot on buying those entire stock of shoes, keeping them in the stock. So he did not invest in the capital. So that way, when he could validate his idea. So that's basically a validation. That's a proof of concept. So you build a market viable product. Say for example, when you come up with an idea, you are very excited about that idea, but however, it has to be useful for the others. So that way you build a prototypes, and then you actually validate your ideas. Once the validation is completed, so you can go ahead and you do your all the business planning aspects into go-to-market strategies can be built in. So funding and scaling and also can be looked into. When it comes to funding and scaling, not that every organization would need the funding and scaling aspects. Probably many would be bootstrapped, and many would just go through some government grants and probably start their business idea. So we've looked in to majorly what the doctorpreneur's mindset should be there, and what is how do you translate the ideas which you get into a business journey. So let's look into one of the important aspect of today's summit here in this session is basically to choose the right business structure. So I have listed down certain business structures. Yeah. So these are the basic business structures which are there for you. So when it comes to a sole proprietorship as well as a partnership firm, what happens here is, the major drawback of this is that you will have an unlimited liability. So with this, your liability gets unlimited. So that means your personal assets and all get attached to the liabilities. It's not just confined to the contribution which you bring in. So that way, in order to ward off, you have this LLP concept where it's called a limited liability partnership, again governed by the LLP Act and regulated by the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, wherein your liability get restricted. That means you have a limited liability, which is more suited when you have to pump in your own funds, like say for example, a laboratory or a diagnostic center, which you would be running with your own firm without much scaling down to any other aspects of funding requirements. That way LLP will be more suited for you. Next will be the one-person company. One-person company, what happens is that being a sole proprietor, it gives you a corporate status. So you can run your business through a OPC, but again, it's just like a sole proprietorship itself, not that suited for scaling down to the heavy healthcare sector or other aspects of the health industry. When it comes to a private limited company, it's more suited for say any health sector you take, any hospital chains or health tech or startups or medical devices which you would want to do. So it would suit all of them. And it is also very good for bringing the funding and taking up the VC or high growth scalable ventures. It's more suited. And we have other model of Section 8 companies as well. Wherein you run in the charitable purpose or non-profits organizations. So that's also helpful for you to go through Section 8 companies also. But however, when you are scaling up from private limited, you can also have that aspect of public, which is the highest model of business in India. So that also can be considered while you choose your business structure. So business structure would define your entire growth and future of your enterprise journey. So I would recommend that you give more time when you are choosing this structure as to what would suit you the best. So let's look at the other aspect. So when you see this, it's basically a hair trimmer, right? So you all know a OnePlus brand. OnePlus brand is the one which manufactures the phone. So anyone here who use the OnePlus brand phones? Anyone? You? Okay. Oh, okay, there are 2 to 3. Okay, good. So are you all happy with the phones which you are using OnePlus? Santosh sir, are you happy with your phone? You are happy. So when you look at this, so will you try to buy this brand trimmer as well, OnePlus brand? Will you? Yeah? Okay. So the major aspect here I would like to talk about is the trademark. See, OnePlus is basically a Chinese brand which is manufactured in India, and they also sell phones in India. But this OnePlus brand is not the OnePlus brand which you are thinking. It's an Indore-based businessman who figured out a gap that OnePlus has not registered their trademark under the categories of electronic goods, that is the trimmers, and he figured out that aspect of gap which the OnePlus has lost. So he registered his trademark under the electronic trimmers category, and he's able to sell under the same brand on Flipkart, making an annual revenue of 50 to 60 crores. So that is where OnePlus lost. So when you are starting your business, today you are into ABC categories of business. Also, please have a vision over a period of 10 to 15 years. What all other areas you would be covering, which you can conveniently carry on with your current business. So that way, you can trademark yourself under a various categories. There are around 45 categories when you are building the products and services in which you will have to register it in the very beginning itself. So that would give you an added advantage over a period of time as to how you can make use of your trademark. It's basically what happens here is, it gives you a maximum protection with the minimal cost so that you can take an advantages out of it and build your business and do not miss out to the opportunities. So let's quickly also run through in the healthcare sector what are all the IP landscape available. So by IP landscape, I would mean it's not just the trademark. Trademark is there for your names, logos, and clinic identity and app names. However, when you are building any patient materials or any training modules, you can have your copyrights and also patents for the medical devices and innovations which the doctors can bring in. So having said that, I would recommend that you start with your trademark, but however, if your doctors are building something very novel and see if it can be patentable, please go ahead and also obtain the patent for that. So that way, you will have your IP in place, which would help you scale up your business whenever you require. And also trademark under the different categories, which you would feel that in the current business, you would be conveniently carrying on. Like say for example, the ICAT is into an air ambulance service. So they fall under a different category wherein the air ambulance services is offered. However, they can also conveniently carry on a chartered service. So that way, that falls under a different trademark. So when you start your business, have a vision as to what you can conveniently carry on in your existing business. So till now, we have seen what is the doctorpreneur mindset and what is the, how do you transform an idea into a business model, and also we have seen what is the structure of business which you can choose, and also we have seen more on the trademarks and IP. So let's quickly run through 7 business functions. This is like a founder's hack for scaling. So any organization for that matter you take, it will have the 7 functions. 7 functions are the basic. One is being a founder or co-founder, you will have your leadership function. Then you will have the sales, then you will have the marketing, then you will have the HR, then you will have your operations and your R&D. Totally 7 functions any organization for that matter will have to run through. So how do you scale is that being a founder or a leader, you will take up the leadership role. So with the leadership role, what happens is that you define the entire strategies for your organization, your vision, your mission, and the direction in which your organization have to go to. That way you take up the leadership role for an organization. Along with the leadership role, it's required for you to take one of these functions out of the 7 functions, where at the stage of your business, say for example, for you innovation is the key. So that means you would have to concentrate more on R&D. For some business, they are in a stage where they need funding. So that means the finance is the key. So that way you will have to take up another one function and concentrate on that. So that ways you will have, being a founder, you will have to concentrate only on 2 functions. Rest all the functions you will have to mandatorily automate it based on your requirement. So if you are in very early stage, probably those 5 functions can be carried on by 2 of them. Like you can combine the sales and marketing, finance and HR that way. But however, I suggest that you also have some 4 functions which has been carried on by others, automate it, have a single point of contact and monitor it. So only that way you will be able to scale up your business. Okay, so till now we have learned more about the doctorpreneur mindset. You are all set, and you've transformed your idea into a business model. Then you've learned about the IPs, and that is trademarking. Now you've chosen the structure, and you also know how to scale. How do you balance your organization functions within the entity to scale up from, say, from 1 crore to 10 crore, I would like to scale up. Then you will have to follow that hack of founders hack for scaling up. So you've done all that. So now the basic aspect of this session would be more of dealing into governance. So how do you form the governance in your organization as a foundation? And also we'll see later as to how governance can be your growth engine. So you, being an entity, you have worked upon the core principles of transparency and accountability. You've also developed your standard operating procedures. You have made your financial controls in place and audit mechanisms in place. You are also following all the compliance and regulatory requirements your entity will have to take. So compliance and regulatory, as doctors, it doesn't mean that it's just only the medical council, but however, there are other various regulatory aspects you will have to look into. Once you have taken care of that, so investors will obviously run behind you. And also you would need certain investors, and your organization would also be ready for taking up the investments. So let's look into how this governance would play a major role in your organization. How the governance can be a growth engine. So firstly, say for example, any patient for that matter, he visits any hospital. So when he's visiting any hospital, he is more comfortable with the doctors there, and also the process the hospital would follow, the protocols the hospital would follow, and the most important aspect of transparency the hospital will have. So he feels that this hospital A, B, C or XYZ is more reliable for him to get himself treated, because there the decision making excellence is more stringent, because they do not make any ad hoc decisions, and also they'll have their SOPs and standard operating procedures, and the board is in a very streamlined format. So that means all the decisions made in that hospitals would not be ad hoc and will be taken in a very responsible way. So that way the patient would feel that that hospital is more trustworthy. And also when you have the regulatory compliances in place, the hospital is taking care of all the regulatory compliance, that would mean like it's a safety net for you. When you are compliant, you may feel that it's a burden, but it's actually a safety net. So it's basically a DNA when it comes to a governance, and every day your organization, how it's led and managed is all about the governance. So every aspect of how do you run a business is governed through your governance. That is, how do you lead and manage. So let's come to a risk management is one of the crucial aspects in any business for that matter, not just with the healthcare. So it's important for the entrepreneurs to identify what risks his business would undergo. How do you identify? You will have to also assess them, not just identifying, assess, also mitigate, as well as in case if you are unable to mitigate, you will have to minimize those risks. So how do you do that? So any organization, say for example, it would have both internal as well as external risk. External can be in the form of you say the pandemic or any war situations or economic downturns. And also there could be internal risk with regard to lot of, you may have lot of clients. Say for example, you have a major client in US and you have some small clients in India. So what if the major client pulls out the plug? So your entire organization may collapse. So these are one of the risks which you will have to look into, which are both internal as well as the external. So you can also build the simulation models once you identify the risk as to check how that risk would respond to these factors which may be external and internal. So that means you have built a shield for yourself. Whenever these risk factors trigger to, you've already dealt it through the simulation models, and that would help you sustain and grow in the future. So you will have to not worry because you've already dealt with those risks and you have a shield for them. So that way you can build a future scalable organizations, and with that you will have a stability and growth. Your patients and employees will be very happy because everything is streamlined, every person is made accountable. So that way you have the long-term sustainability of the growth. So with the next slide, we'll learn more about the compliance roadmap when it comes to a healthcare. Say for example, you've chosen your structure for more of the company format. So you will have to deal with very first day itself, you will have to deal with the provisions of the Companies Act. You will have to comply with the provisions of the Companies Act. It may be in terms of the meetings you hold, it may be in terms of the filings you do with the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. And there are, most importantly, the two documents, that is the memorandum and articles. When you are starting your entity, this is where the business is led through. So please give that enough time, sufficient time. When your professionals are drafting this for you, please give enough time, because memorandum gowns how the organization deals with the external stakeholders, and articles deal with how the entity is internally functioned. So this is something which you will have to confine yourself to. Hence, please give more time to it, and so that you can run your business in a very successful way. When you are starting your enterprise, you will have certain investments which you want to take it from your foreign institutional investors or foreign individuals or for NRIs, or you are trying to make overseas direct investments. That is, you want to establish your entities abroad. So there are FEMA provisions which would attract you. So that way, FEMA provisions are more stringent than any other provisions. So you will have to be very careful and double check yourself with regard to the quantum of investments you are trying to bring in or quantum of investments you are trying to make abroad. So that ways you are in compliance with the FEMA provisions, and there will be all restrictions imposed with regard to the layers of subsidiaries you may want to bring in, or there will be restrictions on the quantum of investments you would be making into your ventures abroad. So that way you should ensure that all the FEMA provisions are complied with. Then as you all know, healthcare laws, probably you would be aware about like biomedical waste and KPME, all that you will have to ensure that it's being taken care. And there are certain workplace and HR compliances with regard to the POSH policies which you will have to make, or the PF, ESI and all that other compliances, including GST, ESI and pollution control licenses. And also the CSR may trigger based on your criteria. So these are the compliance which any organization will have to follow. Okay. So till now we have looked into the doctorpreneur mindset and how do you transform an idea into a business model. How do you actually deal with the trademarks? How do you build your structure of the entity? And we have seen more on what is the hack to take care of the 7 functions in the organization. And also we have seen how the governance would be your growth engine for an organization. So post that, we'll see how do you pitch for investments in India and abroad. Probably the later sessions would be more dealt with pitching and investments, but I'll just touch up on the brief aspects of it. So whenever you have chosen an entity under the company format, ensure that before pitching on to the investors, you will have to create an ESOP pool. Because the investors would know what is your ESOP pool, and ESOP pool will also help you to retain your employees. That is the talent which you have within your entity. So once you do this, you have to prepare a pitch deck. Pitch deck is something which you will have all the informations required for an investors to decide whether he want to invest in your entity or not. That would be going from the problem which you are solving, the solutions which you have built in, what is your revenue model, what is your future growth, what is your cost required for the future, say for example, the projections of 5 to 10 years. So that way you will have to build in a pitch deck and also have your built-in models of financial models and the valuations. So then you can target your investors. So targeting can happen through any demo days or schedule and investors calls. You can pitch into angels, VC, and probably a lot of Singapore-based investors are very much interested in healthcare and open for it. So you can try for those as well. So once the investor is ready to invest, he'll carry out the due diligence of your entity. Due diligence would be carried out in lot of various categories of your entity. That would mean, say, from financial due diligence, legal due diligence, HR due diligence, and also your company secretarial due diligence, market due diligence. So there will be various aspects in which the investor would like to see. It's basically like how you doctors do a health check of an individual person. So that way it's a health check of an entity which will be done by the investors. So please ensure that you keep yourself investor ready so that you don't miss on the opportunities. Probably you may be happy with your infusing your own funds and you are scaling up, but also ensure that the organization is future ready to take up the investments, so that whenever the opportunity comes in, you can grab that opportunity. It will help you bring in an investor. So in order to be future ready, you should ensure that your due diligences does not give any red flags to you. So red flags can also bring down the valuation of an organization. So ensure that your entity is red flags free through you can have a self due diligence done before you pitch in for the investors also. That would help you regularize certain red flags in case if it pops up during the due diligence. So once your due diligence is all done, you are all ready for the investment. So you can sign up the term sheet and get into all the agreements with the investors, and probably you may have to do all the filings necessary which is required with the MCA and FEMA. And that would be more about pitching on investments. And there are certain benefits which are available when you register your entity under DSIR benefits. So that is the Department of Scientific and Industrial Research. If you have an R&D setup in your organization, you can get this recognition of DSIR benefit, wherein you will have to pay a 0 customs duty in case if you have to import any R&D equipment. And also you will have a 5% GST on the capital goods and consumables. So you will have certain criteria like 3+ years of dedicated R&D staff and premises and documented research purpose, which will also help your organization in a lot better ways. And also there is Elevate 2025, which is from Karnataka, grants and support. Anyone here who had applied for this Elevate 2025? You would get a 50 lakhs of grant from the government and they would ask no equity. However, 17 September was the last date for it, but do not be like broken, because they may come up with another round wherein you don't have to, give them any equity. Instead, they would give you a grant, and also there'll be an incubation support given by them, and mentoring, and also network, and you will also get an access to VCs and all that. So in case if you have missed on it, please prepare yourself for the next round so that you can make an application whenever the portal is open for taking further applications. So let's look into the future trends in healthcare. So with the future trends, there'll be a lot coming up in another 5 to 10 years. There'll be a lot of technological advancements, digital healthcare that would be wherein the patients would visit remotely to any kiosk and get himself treated, where all his medical records are available, whichever hospital he goes in. So it's basically a triage model which would be coming in over a period of time, where the healthcare would get more accessible to a lot of people. And also the personalized and prevention care is coming in, where a lot of genomics or twin simulation models would come in, wherein the medicines could be seen. Probably as doctors, you may understand more better than what I could. And also the sustainability and well-being, wherein more of green hospitals would come in, and investors would be ready to invest more in the green hospitals. And also the ESG funding would be easy for such hospitals which operate in the sector. And also there is globalization and new models, wherein a lot of robotics would come in, and probably some doctor from Shivamogga can operate some patient elsewhere through robotics. So that way there is a lot of advancement which is coming up in the healthcare sector. So as doctors, if you are aligned to any one of these also, you would stand a better chance in your entrepreneurship journey as well. So probably we are looking at the inaugural ceremony. So I would just quickly try to wind up my session. So we have looked in all these aspects today, from the mindset shift the doctor should have, and also the idea, how do you transform an idea into the business. And also we have seen a bit on trademarks and IP, and how it can protect your organization, how you can take advantage out of it to build your business over a period of time. And also we have seen a lot on corporate governance, as how corporate governance would help your organization as a growth engine to succeed and to build that entities that would be sustainable and for a long duration and stand out in the society. And also we've seen how the innovation is coming up in the health sector, and also how do you build a legacy for yourself as a doctorpreneurs. Thank you so much. And the session is open for Q&A. If there is any questions you would like to ask or know from my end, you can, or we can also connect later as well. I guess it's time for the inauguration ceremony, so let me wind up here. Thank you so much, and thank you ILYF for having me here. And also I would like to thank Dr. Shalini ma'am for inviting me for this session. Thank you all.
Was the session useful? Just nodding head will not suffice. So big round of applause to Sri Sharath Nalluru for his expertise, and he has shedded light on the critical aspects empowering the doctorpreneurs to make informed decisions. Thank you, Sri Sharath Nallurji. And I request CEO of Nanjappa Group of Hospitals, Trustee of Nanjappa Trust, and the Event Coordinator, Dr. Avinash Benekappa, to honor Sri Sharath Nalluru. May I now request Sri Santosh Kenchamba, the President of ILYF Trust, to kindly come over to the dais and speak about ILYF. Please, Shri Santosh Kenchamba.
ಮೊಟ್ಟ ಮೊದಲಾಗಿ ಈ ಪುಣ್ಯ ಭೂಮಿ ಭಾರತದಲ್ಲಿ ನಡೆದಾಡಿದ ಎಲ್ಲ ದಾರ್ಶನಿಕರನ್ನು ನೆನೆಸುತ್ತಾ, ಬಂಧುಗಳೇ, ಇದೊಂದು ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ಪ್ರೆನರ್ ಸಮಿಟ್, ಒಂದು ವಿಶೇಷವಾದ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮವನ್ನು ನಮ್ಮ ಶಿವಮೊಗ್ಗದ ILYF ಚಾಪ್ಟರ್ ಹಮ್ಮಿಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. I don't know how many of you all are ILYF members here. Could I see a rise of hands, please? Oh, okay. I don't have much work to do then. A lot of you all know about ILYF. So, I've been given the task of introducing ILYF and what ILYF has been doing and the genesis of ILYF. ILYF started 13 years ago, where a group of individuals, somewhere around 4 to 5 people, thought that there was a key requirement in the Veerashaiva Lingayat community to put up an ecosystem where entrepreneurship would be encouraged, which will in turn result in self-employment and self-respect. With that main idea in mind, 13 years back, ILYF started. Today, we have chapters across Bangalore, Mysore, Shivamogga, Hubballi, and soon to launch Belagaum. And we have a membership strength of more than 4,000 people. Like I said, the main idea of ILYF in a moola uddesha ಸ್ವಾವಲಂಬತನವನ್ನು ಪ್ರೇರೇಪಿಸುವುದು, ಅದರಿಂದ ಒಂದು ಸ್ವಯಂ ಉದ್ಯೋಗವನ್ನು ಸೃಷ್ಟಿ ಮಾಡುವ ನಿಟ್ಟಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ILYFನ ಪ್ರಾರಂಭವಾಯಿತು. ಯಾಕಂದರೆ ಸಾಮಾಜಿಕವಾದ ಮಟ್ಟದಲ್ಲಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಿರುವಂಥ ಅನೇಕ ಸಂಘಟನೆಗಳಿದ್ದಾವೆ, ಆಧ್ಯಾತ್ಮದ ನಿಲುವಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಿರುವಂಥ ಅನೇಕ ಸಂಘಟನೆಗಳಿದ್ದಾವೆ. ಆದರೆ ವೀರಶೈವ ಲಿಂಗಾಯತ ಸಮಾಜ ಯಾವಾಗಲೂ ಒಂದು ಕ್ರಿಯಾಶೀಲವಾದ ಸಮಾಜ, ಹಾಗೂ ನಮಗೆ ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಗೊತ್ತೇ ಹೊರತು ತಗೊಂಡು ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ we thought that one of the main work which we have to do in this whole economic growth which is taking shape in this country is that we need to build an ecosystem which will encourage entrepreneurship, work in the space of self-employment. That is why this organization started. So, the ideas and the structure of the organization was very clear. Number one, the organization should be transparent, democratic, and it should not become a fiefdom of a few. ಕೆಲವು ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿಗಳ ಕಪಿಮುಷ್ಟಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಮುಂದಿನ ದಿವಸ ಈ ಒಂದು ಸಂಘಟನೆ ಸೇರಬಾರ್ದು ಅನ್ನೋ ಒಂದು ಮೂಲ ತತ್ವದಿಂದ ಶುರುವಾಯಿತು. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ILYFನ ರೂಲ್ಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ರೆಗ್ಯುಲೇಷನ್ಸ್ಗಳು ಕೂಡ ಅದೇ ರೀತಿ ಇದೆ. ನಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ILYF ಚಾಪ್ಟರ್ ಹಾಗೂ ILYF ಟ್ರಸ್ಟ್. ILYF ಟ್ರಸ್ಟ್ ಇಸ್ ದ custodian of the ethos, the brand and everything. It has multiple chapters. So each chapter will have a president and office bearers. The life of the office bearer is only 1 year, and office bearers should be within the age limit of 50. Because we have seen organizations where when they are given a seat of power, they come with a very strong glue where they cannot separate the chair and him or her. So we made it a point that, boss, we have a revolving chair, the chair only will not be there. After 1 year, the leadership changes. Same thing goes with the trust. Every 2 years, the trust leadership changes. So that young blood keeps coming in and new ideas come in. See, today, what you see in Shivamogga is a result of a new idea which has been precipitated by new blood, the new team which Shivamogga has today. So these kind of new ideas will only come when new blood comes in. So ILYF's core principle is that, and it is an apolitical organization. None of the platforms will be used to promote any political ideology. At the same time, it is non-religious in nature. We don't encourage, entertain, or allow any kind of religious propagations and discussions in the platforms. The only thing people can discuss is money. That's all. How do you make money and how do you grow your wealth? That's all. This is the core idea of ILYF. And we have 5 key verticals in which the organizations work. One is iNet. We call it iNet, which is a networking platform which we create every month. Each chapter holds these iNet programs. Under the iNet programs, members exchange business opportunities. And I'm happy to share, each chapter, we do an average business of 8 to 10 crores every month between the members. Starting from a pin to a pilot, everybody is available in our organization. And next we have the iLead. iLead is a program where we get industry experts, established individuals in the business sphere, and they come and share their journey, which helps our young entrepreneurs who are in multiple levels of the ladder of the corporate journey to understand how the journey has to be done and their experiences, and they work more like a role model anchoring. That is the iLead. So each chapter does a iNet and iLead every year. At least 4 iLeads we do. We have lawyers, we have businessmen, we have agriculturists. Across the spectrum of various industries, people come and share their experience. So that's what iLead does. And then we have iBond. Under iBond, not just limiting ourselves to earning, and we also encourage a little bit of spending, where the members and their families network, spend time together, and build peer cohorts in multiple age groups. So that is what is the idea behind iBond. We have something called as iShare. Under the iShare program, we work with young minds at the college level, at the university level. We go there, we try to share knowledge. We get various experts, domain experts, and we try and work with the young minds and get them thinking on the entrepreneurial space at a very early stage. And finally, we have something called as iCare. After making a lot of money, doing a lot of socializing and fellowship, if we don't give back to the society, Veerashaiva Lingayat Again Prayojana. So, we, under the iShare program, we do a lot of blood donation, and one of the key program is afforestation program, which we have taken as our core program in ILYF, where we do a lot of tree planting across the state. We're happy to share that we work starting from putting the tree to we follow it up till 3 years, and we do all the caring and nursing necessary to make the tree grow to its self-sustaining level. So that is one of our key programs. These are the few programs which ILYF's key structure is governed on. So, ladies and gentlemen, what I would like to say is, today, it's so happy to see such a wonderful program which is being held in a tier 2 city like Shivamogga. So somebody was asking me, and somebody else also shared the same thought with me, that, why Shivamogga? That too, doctors from all across the state are coming here. Shouldn't it have been held in Bangalore? Number one, we wanted to avoid the chaotic traffic experience for you all of Bangalore. And for people who are coming from Bangalore, we wanted to show you the greener side of this country, the state, the Western Ghats. And one of the main thing is, today, business has lost its PIN code. You don't need a PIN code to do your business. You can sit here and you can sell something in the US or something in San Francisco. From Shivamogga to San Francisco, you can sell anything, whether it is a service or whether it is a product. It's very important in this whole, vision of a third largest economy, $6 trillion economy dream which this country has. If the smaller towns are not taken along, and if the smaller towns don't become a part of this journey of the $6 trillion economy, we will not reach there. So I think we are all looking at very interesting times ahead, especially the service industry. The 18th century was the Industrial Revolution, but now, today you have the knowledge economy which is driving the GDP. And I guess yesterday I was asking Nagendra sir, in fact, what is the mix of employment in a corporate hospital? What is the percentage of non-doctors in a hospital? I guess from his knowledge I got to know that it is somewhere around 60 to 65%. So when a doctor who is saving lives and is also creating lives for various people, more than 60% of your hospital staff would be the non-medical staff. So Daivo, Vaidya Narayana Hari, we have heard this strong word in our Sanatana philosophy, but it is very encouraging to see so many doctors wearing the mantle of an entrepreneur. And I think an Indian doctor will be a better, medico-corporate than the empathy-less many other corporate stalwarts who have tried to put their footprint in this country. It is so encouraging to see some of the stalwarts like Dr. Ajay Kumar, Dr. Sharan Prakash Patil, who are doing such a humongous amount of work in the space of medicine. And today, if you Google some of the world's best, for a problem for my mother, I was trying to figure out the world's best neurologists. First 4 or 5 names were the Indian names, even whether they were in the US or in the UK. So, it's so encouraging to see that, we have everything. We did not have an ecosystem which could drive this kind of a growth. I think we are heading towards very interesting times. And I'm happy that our organization, ILYF, took a very bold step to conduct such a conference and a summit in a small town like Shivamogga. Congratulations to the team, and thank you for asking me to come here and share my whole thoughts about what ILYF is. Wishing the whole team all the very best and a wonderful day for all the people who are attending the summit. Thank you one and all.